And we are live on another edition of the K&K Sports Show, December 6, 2023. Not a full panel, almost a full panel tonight. Want to give a couple shout outs real quick. Ryan Scoop Woodhams. I know he's got his what's he got? Has he got finals, midterms? What's he got going on?
Yeah, finals.
He's got some finals going on. Want to give a shout out to our co-host tomorrow, Joey Clams. His birthday today. Joey Clams, happy birthday. And I know one person I don't think we want to give a shout out, and that's the NCAA committee. And I know Carson is about to go off on them when Carson does his Carson Corner. So I will save that. But other than that, opening statements. Let's go right to Carson. What's up, Mr. Carson Shear? How are you?
Good. How you guys doing? Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hopefully you guys all had a good weekend. And the teams are announced. It is what it is. We'll get into our thoughts in a couple minutes. And let's have a good show tonight, guys.
Eddie Murphy's chiming in. Good evening, gentlemen. What's up, Eddie?
Good evening, Eddie.
Talking about Eddie, Giant fans. We got Giant fan number one, Mr. Rosen.
Good evening, Kurt. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everybody. Should have a good show tonight. As you guys alluded to, we're going to have a lot to talk about this evening. So let's get it off on it.
And last but not least, Mr. Kirkpatrick. What's going on, Kenny?
Hey, everybody. Doing okay. Hanging in there. A little under the weather this week, but doing much better now. Good to see everybody. Scoops, good luck on your exams. Joey Clams, happy birthday, like you said. I'm ready to get the ball rolling, and I nicknamed this show the All You Can Ask K&K Sports Show Buffet because we're going to ask a lot of questions, and we expect a lot of questions from the audience as well. So it's a buffet tonight, Kurt, boys. So let's start it off, and I'll pass it off to Paul to get the show started.
Thanks, Kenny.
Real quick, Paul. Eddie Murphy's
yeah,
just saying he called it last week. If we remember, Niners were going to win by at least 10, but ended up way more. Good call, Eddie.
And since Scoops isn't here to defend himself, go 49ers.
Scoops is going to have it. Scoops has to answer. He's lucky he's out tonight.
Yeah, really. Anyway, this first subject and section we can probably talk about for the full hour right now. But that being said, I'm going to kick it off to Carson about a subject that we are all hot and bothered about. So, Carson, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, so obviously we had all of the conference championship games that happened this weekend. A bunch of college football playoff implications resulted from it. I think the biggest upset of them all was when Alabama took down Georgia. Rip mine and Kurt's bank accounts, but we will prevail and bounce back, Kurt. But anyways,
we will.
Yeah,
we will.
Yep. But yeah,
Kurt, real quick. Take care of the pictures. I'm having issues with my computer. Sorry, Carson.
Oh, you're okay. Do you want me to keep going or?
There you go.
Yeah, keep going. I'm good.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, it was determined that the four teams were announced in the college football playoff Sunday afternoon, and the controversy is that the team that got left out was the undefeated 13-0 Florida State Seminoles. And the argument is it the best four teams in the college football playoff, or is it the four most deserving teams in the college football playoff? So I'll ask you guys a couple questions. I'll give my analysis really quick. Point blank, I think we're all going to agree with this. Florida State got absolutely robbed and screwed out of the college football playoff. They went 13-0. They did everything that they were asked to do. They won their ACC conference championship title, and the world and the committee is pointing the finger because their best player got hurt on their team, which was Jordan Travis. He suffered a season-ending injury. And it's very unfortunate. And you have to tell all those families, all those players, all those coaches on the coaching staff, all the medical trainers, everybody that was a part of that program who did everything that they were asked and supposed to do. Oh, yeah, sorry, we're going to put you at 5, and we just don't really feel like you deserve to be in the college football playoff, and we don't think you're one of the best four teams. I think it's completely outrageous, and I think you've seen it right there and then. When the committee announced their rankings, they had Michigan 1, Washington 2 when they upset Oregon. Rightfully so, those two teams. I don't think anybody was expecting them to be out. And then the 3 and 4 was kind of up in the air. What was the question? How are they going to seed them? And you had Texas be number 3. And as soon as they put in Texas, I'm like, they're going to screw Florida State because they're going to put in Alabama because and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I think it's a disgrace. I think you're seeing it firsthand that it's all about ratings, it's all about money, and how and the committee was afraid of a TCU disaster last year where the Bulldogs beat TCU 62-7 in the national championship game, and they did not want a similar return. And you can clearly notice there's a video going around where the Michigan ballroom was watching the ranking, and when Alabama popped up on that screen, there was a very eerie feeling in that room because every single Michigan fan on the planet wanted Florida State. So yeah, I'll ask you guys really quick, flat out, did Florida State get screwed? Kurt?
I'll get to comments in a second. Did they get screwed? Absolutely, Carson. And, I'll say it this way. I have no problem if this committee, they're frauds, right? Just like the Big Ten commissioner, that guy was a fraud and he looked stupid what he did with Harbaugh. These people even look stupider because if they said we're taking the best 4 teams, I would have no problem for that. But then they better have taken Michigan, Bama, Texas, and Georgia. Washington is not one of the best 4 teams. If you're going to just say best 4, because they were saying it. If Georgia played Washington, they would be like a 17-point favorite. So obviously that's not the best 4. So, most deserving, it should have been Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and Texas. I'm sorry. I am the biggest SEC guy. SEC is the best conference in football. But you know what? Alabama had their chance versus Texas, and they lost at home by double digits. I don't want to hear the quarterback, this, that. Florida State, Carson, did what you said they did. They went into the swamp, and they won with a backup quarterback. Then they played Louisville in an ACC championship with a freshman third-string quarterback. And guess what? They won. So, yeah, this committee's frauds. Florida State should have been in.
Couldn't agree more. Paul, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I go along with you guys. It is an absolute travesty. I don't even want to use the word they got screwed, but we're a family program at Family Hour, or else I'd use a different word, quite honestly. I grew up in the Bronx. What do you want? Anyway, it's a travesty. I read something. I'm going to just quickly read this to you guys. The committee turned to a section in its protocol that allowed the committee to weigh the, quote, unavailability of key players that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. So let me ask you this. If Georgia beat Alabama and Brock Bowers got hurt, would they still not have been picked? Okay.
Right.
Or you can name any other great player. It's a BS excuse. You cannot tell me that a team goes undefeated the whole season, okay, wins their conference championship, wins their conference, and then doesn't get selected. You're then telling me the conference decided that the 12 other games were absolutely meaningless and only winning and even winning the conference championship also meant nothing. The same thing with Georgia. And I'll tell you who else I think Georgia got screwed. And you know who else thought Georgia got screwed? Was Deion Sanders. He said, you know what? They should have been upset. As Kurt just said, you know what? You picked the 4 best teams. This team has been ranked number 1 for 3 straight years until the championship game, and then winds up because they lost. And it wasn't like they got blown out by Alabama. They lost by 3 points, and they're not good enough to go from 1st to maybe 4th. That's absolutely absurd to me. And you know what? The committee, as you indicated, Kurt, are a bunch of frauds that you would think that they would have bit the bullet, understood that this was meant, hey, you know what? Texas should have been in, not Alabama, and Georgia should have been in there. Case closed, along with Florida State.
Well said, Paul. I couldn't agree more as well. And Kenny, what are your thoughts? I
Kenny,
think I know where you're going with this, but Florida
Yeah,
State gets
Kurt,
screwed.
Kenny, I'm
catch
going to
up on
get
the
some
comments
comments
because
real
Yeah.
a
quick.
couple of the comments are going to reflect my answer.
Yeah, a couple of comments real quick. Eddie Murphy saying after last night's whooping, the New York Knicks still won't have a banner this season. Our good friend Jimmy Eisman, what's up, gentlemen? Hope all is well. Go blue. Keith is saying that Florida State beat #1 Georgia. Eddie's saying the better team, Bama, got in. They want who's going to bring them more money, which Bama will do. Keith is saying Louisville and maybe Clemson were their toughest games this year? Question mark. Eisman saying they absolutely did. Bama is a great program, but the college football playoff wouldn't draw as much attention with Florida State. Eisman saying Bama is a money magnet compared to Florida State. Our good friend Eddie Siciliano is saying Jimmy nailed it. And Keith is saying, I think Paulie's making my point on Alabama talking about how Georgia got screwed.
Lot of good points.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring one thing that this committee drives me crazy with is if a player is hurt, it reflects, like you were saying, Paul and Carson, because Jordan Travis got hurt, Florida State's not good enough. Well, they still beat, before last week, a top 10 team in Louisville. And to answer Keith's question, they beat number 5 LSU at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
They also beat Clemson, who was a top 15 team. They beat Florida, another SEC team in the swamp, having a down year, but they beat Florida. I'm a Miami fan. I should be happy Florida State's out, but I'm not. I actually think Florida State should be in. And in the NFL, if the Bengals make the playoffs with Browning as their quarterback, are the Bengals not in the playoffs?
Right.
Or anybody else,
Good
for that
point.
matter, who has a backup quarterback. All right. So
Mm.
what I thought, it's a team. It's not one player.
Good
And
point.
Florida State, I think, got screwed. What I would have maybe put Bama in over Texas, even though Texas beat them earlier in the season, that would have been the move to do if you're going to put Bama in my opinion. But to keep Florida State out, I think was the wrong move. And they said because of competition with the quarterback, well, they still beat Louisville with a third-string quarterback. And if you watch that defense could have performed well enough, in my opinion, in the playoffs to maybe pull off a win or maybe even 2 and win the championship. So, yes, Carson, 100%, they got screwed.
Real quick, Joey Clams, the birthday guy, is commenting.
Happy birthday, Joey.
Birthday,
He's
Joey.
sending me a comment, Carson, and his comment is, it's not a playoff when you pick who you want for TV and money. Playoffs mean win, move on, and lose and go home.
Mhm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think all you guys had valid points. And like what Paul said, he brought up J.J. McCarthy goes down. You put Michigan in. Penix goes down for Washington. You put Washington in. Ewers goes down for Texas. You put Ewers in. Milroe goes down. You put Alabama in. It's a complete, utter travesty. Florida State had one of the best defenses in the country. And again, it is not just a one-person sport. You have all those guys who work their tails off the entire season, and they were promised, look, we're going to go undefeated. We're going to win the ACC championship. Yep. We're going to go 13-0, and you're going to leave us out for a chance to play a national championship, what every college football player dreams about doing. It's totally not right, and the system is broken. You're seeing why a playoff expansion was definitely needed. So, like I said, we can spend the whole show on this, but we'll keep it moving here. So the 4 teams are set. You got Washington, Texas in the Sugar Bowl, and you got Michigan and Alabama in the Rose Bowl. What do you guys think about these matchups? As a fan, I like them. But again, unfortunately, the committee, based on these teams, they were looking for the sexiest looking matchups where the most competitive action takes place versus a possible another TCU 2.0. So I like the games personally. I think Harbaugh and Alabama, that's going to be a great matchup to see. And then you got Ewers and Penix in the Sugar Bowl as well. So I like the games. Like I said, it's kind of like a contradicting question because we all agree Florida State got screwed. It'd be cool to see them play in one of these bowl games, but I like them how they came out to be. So, Paul, do you like the games?
Yeah, I think, putting everything else aside, I think the matchups are very good. I think, ironically, if it winds up Texas against Alabama again, that would be very interesting. But that being said, I like the 2 matchups. I think in my opinion, this could be Harbaugh's last chance to win a championship. And who knows what's going to happen after this year there, and whether he wants to go back to the NFL or not. But the matchups are very good, and I think they can be pretty competitive games.
Kurt, do you like the bowl games?
I do. A couple comments real quick. Keith is saying if the NFL used the same concept and Mahomes was out, would you quote unquote vote the Chiefs into the playoffs? Eiserman saying it should have been Michigan 1, Washington 2, Florida State 3, Texas 4, Bama 5, Georgia 6. I would reverse it because Georgia beat Bama, so I would have to put Bama. I'm sorry, Bama. I would leave it just like how Eiserman has it. Keith is saying not every quote-unquote champion can make the top 4 even if they go undefeated. Eddie Murphy saying not playoff related, but as you know, I don't follow college football now that the Pac-12 is gone. Where are those teams going? We can answer that in a question. Sis is saying agree, Michigan, Bama going to be a good one. Eiserman saying Texas beat Bama, so they should have been in. I do, Carson. I like it, but if the committee's worried about Florida State, wait until they see Washington's defense against Texas, because I could tell you just bet the team total over in that one. Texas is putting up 40 on that Washington defense, but I do like it. I think listen, I'm going to root like hell, Carson. I'm on the Michigan bandwagon now for Harbaugh after getting screwed. So, I'm looking forward to both of those games. But, I am. Again, I just the committees are frauds. But, I'm looking forward to the games.
Kenny, what are your thoughts on the semifinals?
Yeah, I got no problem with these semifinals. I think they want Washington to be in the final, with the season they had, and Michigan or Alabama, that's going to be a good one. So I think they're hoping for Michigan or Alabama versus Washington, but Texas will draw as well. So like the previous question, this is all about money, and these 4 teams, these 3 out of these 4 teams are going to attract a ton of money. And then you got Washington with Michael Penix and leading the way over there, Heisman candidate. So these are the 4 they wanted in for money purposes, and I got no problem with these matchups.
Rapid fire, guys, as well. I know it's kind of early; they got a month still, but rapid fire. If you had to pick 1 out of the 4 to win a national championship, who are you taking? Kurt,
Michigan,
Paul,
Hail to the victors.
Kenny.
I think I know where you're going, Carson. I'm going my boy Washington.
Yep. I'm going to go Washington as well. I think, they've been underdogs. They prove people wrong against Oregon, and I think they'll show up in the playoffs, especially Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman. Penix is going to be pissed. That's going to be a big pat on the shoulder and say, go get a national championship instead. So I'm going Washington as well. But, that's kind of my thoughts on Florida State and the semifinals, guys. Nice job.
Great. Good job, Carson.
Good job,
great
Carson.
job.
Couple more comments. Jimmy saying, oh, yeah, great job, Carson. Jimmy saying matchup should be good, but doesn't make it the right choice. Eddie saying if they plan on screwing teams like this in college, they should have done a 16 playoff with 2 wild card games. Eiserman saying go blue.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kurt. So speaking of the Heisman and Michael Penix, our next segment, Kenny is going to talk about a little Heisman trophy that's going to be awarded on Saturday night. So Kenny, take it away.
Thanks, Paul. So yeah, real quick, guys, we'll just we're going to do some predictions, but the 4 finalists were named, and I'll just read them as it is on our screen here. You got Jaden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU, phenomenal year stat-wise. He's in the running and one of the favorites. Best receiver in college football, and probably going to be a top 3, top 5 pick in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. As a junior, I said he was the best receiver, and now the numbers he's put up this year as a senior, phenomenal. And then the 2 quarterbacks in the Pac-12 to round it up. Bo Nix, Kurt's boy, Auburn, transferred to Oregon. Phenomenal year. Fell short a couple times to Washington, but he is a finalist. And then last but not least, Paul's pick for Heisman, my boy, Michael Penix, having a great year. Like Carson just said, they've been finding ways to win when everybody's counting them out. And we're going as far as picking them to win the national championship. So this year, guys, I think there's no clear-cut favorite, if that makes sense. I think there's a 1 and 1A favorite, And then the other two guys are long shots, but not as big of long shots as in previous years. So, quick question I have for you guys is rank them 1 to 4. I'll start with Paul. You're on top of the list of my screen, Paul. So I'll go with you first.
All
and then
right,
why do you have the guy as number? Why do you have your winner? Explain why you got him as your winner.
Okay. Like you said, Kenny, I picked Michael Penix to win the Heisman in our August college football show. I'm going to stick with him. The undefeated, ranked number 2, has had a not spectacular, but a very, very solid year. I think he's been everything that Washington has wanted from their quarterback, a leader. And in my opinion, he should be, if not 1A up there. Second, I have Bo Nix. Also, great season. Led Oregon. Excellent season with them. The only 2 losses was to Washington, and he's been very solid, if not spectacular. Third, I have Marvin Harrison Jr. You indicated probably the best receiver in college football. And fourth, I know he probably will win, but I don't want to hear about gaudy statistics when you're playing the whole game when your team is up by 50, 60 points. Don't tell me you're padding your statistics just to help yourself win the Heisman. And that would be Jaden Daniels is my 4th ranked college player for the Heisman.
Excellent, Paul. I'll go to Carson next.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. I think I'll go from 4 to first. So I think 4, I'm going to go Bo Nix. I think, again, he had a great year with Oregon. Unfortunately, fell short in the Pac-12 championship. See, again, Sis is bringing up a good point. Is it the most deserving player that impacted their team the most, or is it the best player in college football, period? Because I think there's 2 different answers to that. And I think you have to play winning into consideration. Michael Penix got his team to the playoffs and won a Pac-12 championship. In my opinion, he deserves the Heisman Trophy. But if you're going by stats, I think without a shadow of a doubt, it's Jaden Daniels. He arguably had better stats than Joe Burrow did the year he won the Heisman. And Joe Burrow had one of the greatest college seasons of all time. So I'm going to put 4 Bo Nix. I'll put 3 Marvin Harrison. Again, you can't take away what he did. 67 receptions, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. In my personal opinion, I think Penix should win, but I'll still put Penix at 2. And then I'll put Jaden Daniels at 1.
Like it, Carson. And Kurt, how about you? You a little different?
Yeah, like Sis said, if Harrison doesn't win it, they should do away with the award. I'm going to be honest with you. I said, oh, wait, hold on. Clam's just chiming in again. He wrote, Jalen Daniels is what the award means. Jaden Daniels is what the award means, but I guess he's meaning stats, like Carson say. See, I just, we talk about frauds. I'm sorry. I think this is just like such a fraud award now. Like Sis is right. The best player out of these 4 is Marvin Harrison Jr. The other 3 quarterbacks are probably not even going to be maybe Bo Nix first round quarterbacks, right? And I'm sorry, but Jaden Daniels can have all the stats he wants. They were 6-3. When he had a big game in Alabama, he didn't lead his team to victory. So he's absolutely number 4. I will never vote for a guy 6-3 on a team. They didn't make a conference championship. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. If anything, the NCAA should be putting Jordan Travis in here, because if he's that good to turn it around, he should be in this Heisman. He should be the winner. Because without him, you're
Good
saying
point.
your team can't make the championship in the playoff, right? How's he not here? Jaden Daniels, sorry. He can have up and down all he wants. 6-3, you're out. I'll put Harrison 3rd. I'm going to put Bo Nix 2nd, and I'm putting Penix 1st. Again, out of these guys, the only guy that won the big games, Penix. Won a league championship, Penix. In the playoff, Penix. I'm taking Penix out of this group. But where's Brock? Where's Bowers? He should be in it. Jordan Travis should be in it. How could you say the guy's so important that they can't put the team in the playoff, but he's not in the Heisman can? I mean, the guy should run away with the vote if that's true.
Exactly.
Good points, Kurt. Good points. I like it. I'm going to go real quick. My number 4 is going to be Jaden Daniels. 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 picks. Number 3, Bo Nix. 4,145 yards, 40 touchdowns, 3 INTs. So if we're going by stats, I'm putting Nix 3. I'm putting Daniels 4. 2, I'm going Marvin Harrison. Think he's the most electric player in college, and I just think he's going to fall short because there's a lot of good quarterbacks. Michael Penix doesn't have the stats that the other guys have. He has 9 interceptions, but he does have 4,200 yards, 33 touchdowns, and like Kurt said, he won 2 huge games and went undefeated in the Pac-12. And there were a lot of teams ranked in the top 25 in the Pac-12 to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that deserves it. Again, we're going to go by most deserving, or we're going to go by stats. And I hope a lot of these voters go with most deserving, because I think Penix or Harrison are the 2 most deserving. So I'll go Penix 1, Harrison 2, and I hope one of those 2 get it.
And he's the saying 2, Daniels also has 1,500 yards rushing.
He does, but who they beat? That was a big game.
Yeah.
Who they beat?
Nobody.
Nobody. When Florida State played him, what was his stats against Florida State?
They didn't win,
so
right?
I just hope they look at it that way. I hope they look at it that way, because like you said, 6-3, then you should put Caleb Williams in the mix again, because he put numbers up, right?
Right.
So
you're right.
There's a million guys that could be put in the mix here, but I hope they go by performance and not just stats. But that was my quick little, thoughts on the Heisman, which is Saturday. Hopefully some of us are happy with the results, and it's not a continuation of what Florida State got screwed. Hopefully somebody here doesn't get screwed in the Heisman. But I'll send it back to you, Paul.
Thanks, Kenny. Good job.
Kenny.
Good job. All right, Kurt. Bowl season is upon us, so why don't you give us some quick hitters regarding the bowl season?
Yeah, I'm going to start with not a quick hitter, just like a quick thought real quick. And again, listen, this might be a stupid statement of mine. I mean, I've made many in my life, but, with this transfer portal thing coming on and opting out already, Caleb Williams is opting out and stuff. And, a lot of times you hear, why it's important for teams to get a bowl is you get those extra practices, right? So you could practice up to there, basically leading up into next year. So I just threw this suggestion out to Jenny Hoops, and of course, like she always did, she was just like, you're wrong about it. But I want to ask you guys, okay? If that's going to be the case, hear me out. Am I crazy, right? And I'm not talking about the playoff games. Obviously, that's a different story. Not any game, non-playoff game. What if you say to them, hey, right after the season starts, there's a quick deadline for you to say, okay, I'm opting out. I'm going NFL, so I'm opting out. Or B, I'm going into the portal. And then, you make this about, for those teams not in the playoff that are in a bowl, about next year. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by that is seniors don't play in that game. Is that a stupid thing, Carson, to where it's, like Caleb Williams, you can't play. Bo Nix, now you can't play in this game. It's all about next year. Anybody that's going into the draft early, you're not playing. We don't have to worry about opt-outs. We don't have to worry about transfers. Everybody's going to know, this is an Oregon team you're going to get with no seniors, so no Bo Nix. Would you want that, Carson, or would you be like, you rather just have it like it is now, where whoever plays, who opts out and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'll do the best I can because I have a lot of thoughts to this. I'll try to do it in like 30 seconds or less. I think as a fan, you want to see the best players play in the bowl games. And I think that used to be the case 10 years ago when it was BCS era. I remember like New Year's Day, like bowl games were awesome. Like I had my friends over. We all ate a ton of food and like the games were so hyped. Now it feels like, oh, your team isn't going to the playoffs? Well, I'm just going to kind of skip the bowl game and get ready for the NFL draft, or I'm going to hit the transfer portal because I have a better offer on the table, or I'm just not really going to try as hard because the season's technically over. I should not really risk an injury because if I risk an injury, it could, screw my draft stock over. So I'm just going to kind of sit it out. So as a fan, it sucks because you want to see the best players play in the games. But as a player's standpoint, from their viewpoint, I totally understand why they're not playing in the bowl games.
Real quick, Sis is saying in 1976 he finished number 2 in the Heisman voting. Eddie Murphy is saying, I'll get to this as a quick hitter. He's asking if the Ewers stays, does Manning transfer? I'll get to that in a quick hitter. Mark Calderio saying, good evening, gents. Paul, what's your thoughts on that? Where, again, I don't know, man. I'm just with Carson. I mean, I loved New Year's Day growing up.
Yeah.
You had game after game after game. Now it's just, you got Georgia and Florida State playing two of the best teams in the country. They're playing, I think, on, the 30th. They're not even playing like on New Year's Eve, So, what's your thoughts on this with this bowl? I mean, can they do something where it's next? I don't know. I don't know. Just
there's a lot of factors of what I'm thinking. Number one, there's 800 bowls nowadays. Okay, so after a while, it's like there's almost too much. But we understand money, prestige. A lot of the smaller schools would love going to bowls, but it's watered down because you have teams that are 5-6 losses, but they're bowl eligible. That being said, players nowadays, the whole thing is, especially the stars, they don't want to play because they're looking at the next level. And I can't blame them. Let's face it. If I had a son in college and they had an opportunity to go to the NFL, I probably would say to them, I don't want you to play. But it's disappointing because I don't want to watch Notre Dame with 4 or 5 of their receivers that have already made the transfer portal, and who are they going to bring? I can sign up and go play wide receiver for Notre Dame, but it's disheartening when it comes down to that. So it's lost a lot of its luster from New Year's Day, as Carson said, as you just said. It was a special time where you knew from 11, 12 o'clock through almost 11, 12 o'clock at night, 12 hours of 4 or 5 New Year's Day football games, you were glued to your TV and you never left it.
Clams is saying they've been opting out already for years. College bowls season is a joke, especially for the bettors, not like it was. Keith is saying it's absolutely ridiculous. Feels like going to an NBA game only to find out the stars are quote unquote resting. Eddie Murphy saying, I think there's age and limits for players, Paul, LOL. Kenny, what do you think? I mean, is there anything in your opinion that they could do?
That's discriminatory, Eddie.
Yeah.
Age discrimination.
No, Kurt, short and sweet, because I know you want to get to some other questions. No, there really isn't anything they can do, Kurt. I mean, as a fan, it sucks because I'll take my team, Miami. We're going to the Pinstripe Bowl, New York, my home area, right? Playing against Coach Breslin's Rutgers. But you know what? I have no interest in going to that game. And I'm not going to, go to the game. I may not even watch it. Van Dyke's in the transfer portal. I probably won't even know half the players that are playing in that game. But like Paul said, and Carson, I get why, because if I was in that situation, I would probably opt out too, especially what happened to Jordan Travis against North Alabama. So if you get hurt against North Alabama, you sure as hell can get hurt in a meaningless bowl game that's going to give the college $1 million, maybe a little more. You ain't getting anything out of it. So I get why the kids are sitting out. It sucks as a fan, but I get it.
I remember
nothing they can do. They can do.
7 or 8 years ago, Notre Dame played Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, and Jalen Smith tore up his knee, and he lost a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. He would have been one of the top 5 players picked in that draft, and he wound up obviously getting picked by the Cowboys, but it wasn't until the second round, and he lost the whole year. But the bottom line is, players nowadays, they're looking for their own welfare, and I guess I can't blame them.
Sis is telling Eddie there is no age limit, 5 years to play for. My next one, Carson, I'm going to start with you. I believe it was 2017 or 2018. UCF obviously was undefeated. They didn't get into they didn't get into the playoff, but they beat Auburn in a New Year's Day bowl and basically claimed themselves national champions. They put a banner up. So my question is this: if Florida State beats Georgia, Carson, should they put a banner and self say they're national champs, 14-0?
I think the 14-0 banner would be cool. I wouldn't call yourselves national champions, though, because everybody knows you didn't win a national championship. You should have the right to play for one, but the reality is you got left out. So I think 14-0 would be a cool banner if they end up beating Georgia. But yeah, I don't know about national championships. So I'd say yes to undefeated. I wouldn't put the words national champions on there, though.
Paul.
I would say put up a banner, say 14-0, national champions, at least in the state of Florida. And underneath, I would say I'd write on it, we got screwed.
Kenny.
Like the guy said, I wouldn't put national champs, but I would definitely go after the committee if we beat Georgia. Alabama beat Georgia, right? Why aren't we in? We ended up beating Georgia. We're showing you with a backup quarterback. And somebody on the committee should say we made a mistake if that happens.
Okay.
If that happens, somebody should come in and say we made a mistake.
Don't hold your breath.
Okay, my last question, it's going to go a little, it's college football related, but with all these new conferences and stuff like that, as being an Auburn fan and an SEC fan, and I bet you Sis can chime in with me on this one. We were used to, since I was a kid growing up, and I can't really do it, but it was right, like 3:30 CBS. Here's the SEC game of the week, and that's over. It's over, right? They lost the rights. I believe who's doing CBS? Oh, CBS has who now? The
Big Ten.
Big Ten. Yeah. They got the Big Ten. So listen, you got Vern Lindquist, Gary Danielson. Who's the other guy? I can't even think of. Who's the guy that does it with Danielson?
Oh yeah. He just
Nessler,
signed off.
Brad Nessler.
Brad Nessler, right? So listen, and again, I'm gonna miss it. Like that's what I'm used to. So when I'll start with you, Carson, you're obviously you got, what is it, like NBC now has the rights to the big quote unquote game Saturday night, but now CBS Sports. Does it matter to you like what network your conference and your team is, or do you really it doesn't matter to you?
Peacock is extremely annoying because you have to go through a separate channel and you can't just flip back and forth. It's a separate, almost like app. If you have it like on your TV where you have to say, hey, put on Peacock. Okay, now put it back on ABC. You can't just click the last button. So I don't have a problem with it, but if your team is on Peacock, that's the only annoying channel about it, because it takes an extra step to the convenience isn't there when your team is on Peacock. It's frustrating if you want to flip back and forth.
Paul, you have your own network, so you guys are a little different, but something like you. I mean, does it, do you like it on Channel 4 NBC, or does it, wherever you are, you are?
No, yeah, it's fine with Notre Dame. I know where they're going to be, especially on the home games. But I'll use an analogy. When CBS was covering the NFL before Fox took over, and you had John Madden and Pat Summerall doing the big games every week, you felt like this was family. This was home. Yeah. You knew they were going to be doing Cowboys and 49ers or Giants and Redskins and those games. And it was thrilling that they then jumped to Fox to do the games. And when Fox took over, so it felt like, oh my God, we're back home again. So that's the way that I feel about college football, that losing CBS doing those SEC games, it's like losing family.
Kenny, what about you?
Well, CBS, I hope, DirecTV. So I'm not a big fan of CBS right now because they're fighting with DirecTV, and our games are blacked out. CBS is blacked out right now. So, but I love the Fox guys. Gus Johnson, I think he
Joe
makes you want to
Klatt.
watch a game when he's in that. Yep, with Gus Johnson doing play-by-play,
Yeah.
I think he's the best around, and I look forward to watching him when there's big games on Fox. So it doesn't matter to me where they are. I just like the main guys to stay where they are because I think they do a good job in college. ESPN's got theirs. We know Kirk Herbstreit's on ABC. Paul's got his Notre Dame guys, Tirico, Jason Garrett.
No,
And
Tarico's
CBS
not
got
even doing
Davidson
him
and
anymore.
He's not doing them anymore. That's right.
No.
Yeah, as long as the broadcasters stay, I don't care where they play the games on what network. But I think the broadcasters they got are nicely paired.
All right, Kenny, those were just my college football hitters, and I watch, if you guys got to watch again, if you're an SEC fan or a college fan, you can find it on Twitter. CBS did like a 6-minute, like little tribute of like highlights over like the years they had CBS. It's just to see the stars that they covered, like Peyton and Eli and, Tebow, Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, Chase, Manziel. It's crazy how many like big games they had. It's an awesome video for 6 minutes. You got to watch it. Sister's saying Herbstreit's the best. All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick. So that's my college football.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Let's go back to Kenny. We have a fun little segment that Kenny's going to start with, and I'll let him fill you in.
Came up with a fun little question for everybody here, and if the audience wants to participate too. So if the K&K Sports Show got to host a bowl game, okay, realistically, our budget would be low, so no New Year's 6 game teams, no playoff teams involved. You can make it 2 teams, 4 teams, however you want to make it. Who would be your teams that you would put in? And I'll start with Kurt.
I mean, listen, we'd have to take, man, it's tough because I talked with you off air. So my first choice obviously would be yours. Eddie's saying the Pinstripe Bowl, but I would probably go somewhere where like teams that I bashed all year, like teams that I don't like, right? So I would probably have to throw in, because I'm not going to throw in Auburn. So I don't know. This is a tough question. Because again, I know, like, I know where Kenny's going to go, and I don't want to steal his thunder. So you know what? No, I can't. I got to put my Auburn Tigers in, right? My Auburn Tigers will have to go in.
Yeah, you should put Auburn in against the team you hate. That's what you should do.
No, I'm going to put like teams that I've also followed. Like I'm going to take UCF because Gus Malzahn's there. Okay. I'm going to ask Bo Nix in Oregon, can I steal him? Because I want the Auburn, Gus Malzahn, and obviously Oregon, Auburn angle with Bo Nix. And my 4th team would probably have to be, you know what? I'm going to take Liberty because Liberty with you free. So I would go Auburn, UCF, Oregon, and Liberty, and kind of have some kind of Auburn, mystique around it.
That would be your playoff, your K&K Sports Show playoffs. Where would you have it played?
It's got to be in Alabama somehow. So maybe like in Birmingham, like not at Auburn, not in like where Tuscaloosa, where is it? That Birmingham Stadium, somewhere like, at a high school, like something in somehow in Alabama.
Okay. Carson, how about you? Who would your 4 teams be in our playoff?
Yeah, and again, I think I'll go a little bit more unconventional because it is our own version of our playoff. But I think I would take teams that would like suck. I think that'd be fun and interesting. Instead of the teams that actually made the bowl games, how about you put the teams that were like horrible this season, like Tulsa, Temple, and East Carolina and Charlotte, like a giant AAC conference of the who's the best out of the worst 4 teams in your conference. I think that could be kind of fun to broadcast, and I'd put it in Vegas.
That's awesome. I like that idea. All right, Paul, you're up.
All right. I know who you picked, but I picked a couple of the teams, but it's slightly different. So, of course, I had to go with my Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, and I went with an old rival, and unfortunately, it's Kenny's Miami. But I wanted it to be a game from the old days, the Catholics versus the convicts, as they used to call that game. So I said, all right, Notre Dame needs a real home field advantage. So since it's my game my bowl game, I got a donation from the Catholic charities. So the home field advantage is going to be in Rome, Italy, and we're going to play at the Vatican City Stadium.
Nice.
And Notre Dame is going to play against the University of Miami, and the winner is going to get from each player and coach and the whole staffs of Notre Dame is going to get from the current Pope, Pope Francis, a host. They'll line up and he'll give them a host, each and every one of them, and that'll be what the winner will get.
Nice.
Eddie Murphy saying, since your budget is low, have the games on Garfield's new field. I got one.
Yeah,
You know,
high
Kenny,
school.
Kenny, I got an idea. Give me. Well, I'm going to ask Paul. Paul, who would
Yes.
you say is besides like Army, Navy, and Air Force? Who would you say is the next kind of like most American college or team? Give me one team.
Like a national type of team.
Yeah, like I'm saying, if I said Army, if I said Army, Navy, Air Force, who would be the fourth team to fill in there? Anybody else? Carson, Kenny, have a suggestion?
I mean,
I'm sure it is. Let me think.
as crazy as the sound, I mean, you have alumni from, and I hate to toot Notre Dame's horn, but I mean, you have alumni from every single part of the country that are Notre Dame fans.
Here's Kenny. This is what I would do, and this is for Scoops. I'm going to pick Scoops because Scoops have made a comment about me on a couple of shows and in the group chat. And he said, I'm going to tell you where I'm going. So my bowl would be, this would be in Washington, D.C., Kenny. So you would be able to go to these games. Notre Dame, Army, Navy, and Air Force. And you know who's giving out the trophy to that tournament? President Trump, baby. I want for Scoop. I'm calling it the President Trump Bowl, and it's going to be all Americans.
That's nice.
American first, saluting first. So that's for Scoops. He can. I'll even buy Scoops tickets to that one. That's the President Trump playoff tournament.
I love
That's
it. That's
funny. That's great.
And I want Scoops to hear that. What time? We got to remember what time it is. 8:50, and we're going to text him. He's got to watch that.
That's funny.
All right. I saved mine for last. Mine is going to be simple. It's going to feature our four teams. So Miami, Auburn, Michigan State's going to be in there, and Notre Dame's going to be in there. And what are we going to play for? You know how they play on Thanksgiving for that turkey leg? We're going to play for the Kahlua pork. And we're going to play for it in Hawaii.
Nice.
And Kurt's going to get to hand the trophy to the winning coach, and it'll be a roasted pig, gold roasted pig. And Kurt will be able to do it there, but we'll have our own game day. The old Pro Bowl.
That pig will be in some kind of hard case, Kenny.
Since our budget's low, Kurt and Jen are going to pay for our trip since our budget's low. And you said that the old Pro Bowl, they do flea markets there now, so we'll have a game there.
Yeah.
We'll play on the concrete. We'll play a little two-hand touch on the concrete.
That's
over there.
funny.
And, we'll have the gold statue. Kurt will get to hand out the winning team Kahlua pork sliders, and Kurt will get to try one on the air.
No way. Eddie's saying, I like Carson's idea, but for NFL or NBA, have the bottom teams play for the number one pick so they can tank. Murphy's saying the Cheeto head ball. Luby saying, Kurt looks like you are Kenny K today. Your tag is saying that, LOL. Yeah, I think everybody. Oh, no. Me and Kenny are Kenny K. I never switched it. Thank you for that, Luby. Thank you for tuning in. And Eddie's asking, hey, Carson, what was no turkey for the Lions and Packers this year? Did they not have that? Carson probably didn't watch the end of that game, so he probably might not even know.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually they have like a turkey or some kind of dish that they serve to the winning team. Yeah, I think they did, but maybe they didn't show it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
All right, Kurt, let's move it on a little bit. We're getting little late, but we'll finish up as best we can here. We got a couple more topics, so
Okay.
I'll pass it back to Paul.
All right, Kenny. I'll punt it back to you very quickly with going NFL.
Okay.
So let's talk about some quick hitter questions you have.
Yeah, quick hitter guy, 30 seconds or less. Let's do this. First one I got is simple. MVP. If the season ended today, who would be the MVP? I put some of the guys I got as favorites on there, in my opinion. You can have somebody else. It doesn't have to be off this list. We got Jalen Hurts. We got CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, TJ Watt, Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, and Tua Tagovailoa. I'll go first. I think MVP, in my opinion, if season ended today, it's between two guys, CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson, guys, because I think without Lamar, this team would be in a lot of trouble, and they're going for the 1 seed right now. So I would go Lamar Jackson. Carson.
Yeah, and again, this kind of goes back to the Heisman question. It's unfortunately, I think it's a more of a popularity contest. I think they usually give it to the team. Whoever has the best record gets it to their team's quarterback. But like you said, Kenny, TJ Watt's a beast. Myles Garrett's playing phenomenal for the Browns. But I think it's between either Purdy, Prescott, or Hurts. I'll go with Ryan's guy. I'll go with Jalen Hurts.
Kurt.
Eddie Murphy's saying Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Real quick, getting back, Joey Clams. I gotta tell you, if you guys want a job, I should get paid for this. To follow Joey Clams' text during the night, he's all over the board. But he's saying, I want to thank the crooks and degenerates of the K&K Sports Show. Salute for the birthday wishes. So
Nice.
that's
Good, Joey.
Nice.
Kenny, I'm going to surprise you, Kenny. I'm going to go CJ Stroud because, listen, you brought this guy on 7-5 in a playoff. They were one of the worst teams last year. I'm going to take CJ Stroud.
It's a nice pick, Kurt. I like that. Might get some good odds at it, and we'll have to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll be a little prop bet tomorrow. K&K, we'll do MVP odds. We'll do a couple prop bets. Paul, who's yours? If
Eddie must
have today.
Yeah, Eddie must have been looking over my shoulder on the test. I said Tyreek Hill. I said this guy could conceivably break the record for the yardage from your guy Carson. Yeah. So I mean, he has been unbelievable. He actually Sunday set the record most 150-yard games in one season. So the guy's having a phenomenal year. Obviously, it's a quarterback-driven league, but you can't take anything away from what this guy has been doing this year so far.
Joey Clams just said, true or let's go rapid fire. True or false? I'm sorry, agree or disagree? Carson, he just said Tyreek Hill is the best player in football. Agree or disagree?
100%. He's on pace for 2,000 yards, like Paul said, which has never been done before. If Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards, you should hand him the trophy. I
just think too, there's no other player that is even that you could even say is like him in the NFL. He's just one of a kind player. So I agree. Paul, do you think he's the best player in football?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of did a deep dive. If he averages what he has so far the first 12 games, he's going to have 132 receptions, 2,020-something yards, and 17 touchdowns. One of the greatest seasons in NFL receiver history.
And Kenny, agree or disagree?
100% agree. Look at the Chiefs without him this year. Mahomes is having is having a down year because he doesn't have the. Bet you he wishes he had the best player in the NFL with him. So yeah, I think he is.
He's saying if Hill wasn't in Miami, Tua wouldn't even be on Kenny's MVP list.
True. All right, guys, I got one more NFL one. It's a two-parter. So I'll start with Paul. Give me your last two AFC wildcard teams in, Paul, and your last two NFC teams. We'll do it together.
Okay. I put three only because of the way the looking at the divisions and everything. So my AFC, okay. I have the Texans, I have the Browns. I know the quarterback situation is messed up, but Kurt, I have your Broncos going in also.
Hope so.
And you want my NFC
And
also?
NFC, we'll do the NFC now so we could catch up to.
Okay. And I have the Falcons winning the South, so the Packers and the Rams get in.
Packers and Rams. I'll go next. I got the NFC exactly like you got, Paul. Packers and Rams. My AFC one, Kurt, you're going to be happy your Broncos get in. And I'm going to go Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to squeeze in with all these injuries in the AFC happening. I think Josh Allen's one of the better quarterbacks left. And two dangerous teams if they make the playoffs, in my opinion. We'll see. Carson, your AFC and NFC.
Yeah, AFC. I'm gonna go again. Kurt's Broncos. I think they'll barely sneak in. And I'll go with the Texans. And NFC. I'm gonna go with the Rams and the Seahawks. And I really, dude, I really hope the Lions get to host a playoff game against Stafford. That place would be insane. Stafford coming back home at Ford Field at the playoffs at Ford Field. That would be electric.
Would you go, Carson?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That would be phenomenal.
And
All right,
he's
Kurt,
saying breaking news: Toto is still not a Yankee yet. LOL.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen, but who knows? We'll see. All right, Kurt, yours.
You know, listen, with this Trevor Lawrence injury, and I know they're saying he, may play whatever, but you guys realize the Colts and the Texans are one game behind them. So listen, the Texans, they get into this tie. There's no guarantee that they're in, but I will say that they get in. I'm definitely taking my Broncos. Hey, we're not going to win 11 in a row. It's never going to happen. I'm going to talk about it on the show tonight. So I'm not discouraged at all by the loss. Tough loss, but I'm still going to go Broncos. Buffalo, Kenny's got such a tough schedule. That's the thing that hurts them. I think they're the next best team. I'm not going to go with them. I'm going to go Broncos, and I guess I'm going to go Cleveland also. I'll take Cleveland, and I'll take Denver as the last two there. And the NFC, I'm going to take the Rams. I'm big on the Rams. And I guess by default, I got to go Green Bay. Home field, right? Home field. You saw what they did last week against Kansas City. I'll go Rams. But I'm telling you, I would not want to. The Rams are scary, man. The Rams with Stafford's a scary team to play in a postseason. With Cup, what's his name?
Nakua.
With Williams at running back. Darnold, they're scared, man. They're scary, man. I wouldn't want to play them.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, guys, that was good. That was quick hitters on NFL, and we got one more sport, one more question to ask you guys in the audience,
Kenny,
and panel tonight.
I know Kurt has another show. It's almost 9:00. Do we want to
do we have 5 minutes
on
Kurt?
next?
I think we could do this in 5
Yeah,
minutes.
we do. We have 5.
Yeah.
Carson has
okay.
time. Carson,
Yeah, I'm good. Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. So,
by the way, guys, know Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson got the starting job we had a couple of Zach Wilson questions for you tonight, but because Zach Wilson got his starting job back, we are not talking about Zach Wilson tonight.
Paul, can you take that Sports Illustrated down next time on the show so I don't have to see it?
I forgot it was against you guys. So
I don't even know. What was he? 23 for 24, whatever the hell he was.
22 out of 25, but who's counting?
Yeah.
And he went to Disneyland. Anyway, so this week they announced Carson's guy, Jim Leland, had made the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. Great manager. Well deserved. Thanks. But they also came out with the latest Hall of Fame ballot. So I thought it would be fun to go around and obviously they picked 10. We're not going to pick 10, or up to 10, I should say. Give me your top 3 choices that you would pick for the Hall of Fame for this year. All right. Let's start with Kurt. We'll start with you.
All right. This is not. I'm so glad Scoops isn't on this thing tonight because number 1, I'm sorry, I'm putting Alex Rodriguez. I think he was the best baseball player overall that I've seen since, besides taking kids when I was really young. So I'm going to take Rodriguez. I'm going to take Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, And my third one on this list, I'm going to go Todd Helton. I just think Todd Helton was that good of a player. So I will go Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Todd Helton.
Okay. Kenny?
I'm going to go Jenny Hoops, close your ears, because I'm going with Kurt. A-Rod's on that list. 696 home runs, 295 career average, 3 seasons of 50-plus home runs, 14 years, 100-plus RBIs, 22-year career, 2 Gold Gloves. He's number 1. Number 2, Adrian Beltre. 17 years, 7 years batted over 300, 477 home runs, 286 career average, 5 Gold Gloves. And Kurt, you might want to hold your ears on this one. I'm going with my favorite pitcher of all time, Andy Pettitte. 256 wins, 5 World Series rings, 2 seasons wins, 18 years in the league, 0 losing seasons. Those would be my top 3, Paul.
All right, good. Carson?
Yeah, there's a couple Tigers on there, so I'll avoid some bias. But I think without a shadow of a doubt, Joe Mauer deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's one of the greatest catchers of all time. I'm going to go David Wright. I think he's arguably up there, Paul, with one of the greatest Mets of all time. And then third, I'll go Adrian Beltre.
Okay, nice. Thanks for the shout out. I was going to mention David Wright, but all right. My 3 are Andrew Jones, center fielder, mostly for the Braves, incredible athlete, great hitter, but even probably a better defensive center fielder. I think he won 10 Gold Gloves, just the 400 home runs. Great center fielder. My number 2, I know a little bit controversy. Good thing Scoops isn't on the show, but my number 2 pick is going to be Carlos Beltran. He's been Rookie of the Year, 9-time All-Star, obviously won a World Series, albeit the scandal, 3 Gold Glove, 1,500 runs, 1,500 RBIs. Only 38 players in Major League history have had both 1,500 runs and RBIs in the history of baseball. So incredible statistics. Obviously, he gets the big no when it comes to the Astros sign stealing, but we'll forgive him in my list. And third, again, you guys mentioned Adrian Beltre, probably one of the most underrated players in baseball history. Definitely deserves to be first-time ballot, 3,000 hits, 5 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, 1,700 RBIs, 477 home runs. So just unbelievable. Probably the 4th. I think he's only the 4th Hall of Fame or soon to be Hall of Fame who have hit 400 home runs. Schmidt, Eddie Matthews, and Chipper Jones. So those would be my 3 at this point. All right.
Great job, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Anything else baseball, guys? I was going to put it in my closing thoughts, but the news out today, the Yankees are very close to trading for Juan Soto, and Trent Grisham will be involved in that. And we're giving up a couple pitchers, nothing crazy on our end that we're giving up. So if that trade happens, I think it's a home run for the Yankees. So we'll see, Yankee fans. All right, I think it's time for closing thoughts. Kurt, you want to?
Yeah, all right. I'll start my closing thoughts. Listen, after a 1-5 start, 6-6, and all I would say after when we were 1-5, if you said, hey, on December, what is it going to be, 10th or 9th, on that Sunday, you have a legit chance at the playoffs. I'm taking it, so I'm fired up for that Sunday slate. Again, rough loss last week. Carson, again, next week, hopefully you could join me on Wednesday when we break down that Bronco-Lion game. I'm doing a show tonight, but next week I definitely look forward to having you. But on a serious note, guys, too, Saturday there's one college football game, and that's Army-Navy. And I'm gonna be honest, like you guys know, I went last year, and I'm I'm pumped up for this game, and I got some stuff I got to do in the morning. But like I told Ryan, my brother, I said, listen, I got to be home by 2. I'm watching this game. If you guys could ever go to a game to experience Army Navy, it's like nothing else. You just everything before the game, the pageantry, and all that stuff beforehand, just an unbelievable experience. And I'll be watching that. And it's America's game, right? That's what they say. They call it America's game. So I'll be pumped up for that. Carson.
Yeah, great show as always, guys. Love talking sports with you all. Looking forward to the Wits and Wages show tomorrow. And yeah, have a good weekend, everybody.
And thank you guys, Carson. Thank you for your segment. Paul and Kenny, thank you guys for a great agenda. And
Yeah.
I'll go to Paul.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Great show, guys. Love talking with everybody. Thanks, audience, for wonderful participation. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this to my beautiful, wonderful, greatest, biggest fan, Luby Rosen. On Sunday, she'll be celebrating her big 60th birthday. So
Happy early birthday.
I just want to say I love you very much. Happy 60th. And I just, you're everything for me.
And she gets to watch. Oh, no, she gets the day off because the Giants are on Monday, right? You
Yes.
worked that out.
I worked that out. I called the NFL schedule makers.
There you go. And last but not least, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Luby saying, love you too, Paul.
No.
Happy birthday, Luby.
Great job, guys. And, early happy birthday to Luby for sure. Great show. Lots of topics. Kurt, great job mentioning Army Navy. Shame on me for not putting that in our agenda. We'll pick that game and discuss it a little bit tomorrow on Wits and Waivers. But good job mentioning that at the end. Thanks to the audience for the participation. Show would not be the show without you guys. And like Carson said, looking forward to Wits and Wagers. Kurt, 10 p.m. tonight.
10 p.m.
Broncos.
I'm doing Broncos show.
10 p.m. tonight. Broncos.
I'm doing like an open agenda. Any questions people want? I know Kenny said he's going to be firing me up, but yeah, let's go. We got to talk some Broncos tonight. 10 o'clock.
And check that out. And we'll see everybody tomorrow for Wits and Wagers. Everybody have a good week. Enjoy the games this week.